of terrible things are happening in Canada right now, economically, of course. If you want moral scandals, well, the Liberal Party was caught giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to a virulent racist, a bigoted anti-Semite, and you're not even going to believe this, for him to give anti-racism lectures. Just shocking. So much so that even Liberal MPs could no longer hold their tongue. The Jews of the Liberal Party, there's not many of them left, felt that they were not being heard, and they actually took to Twitter. Here's a tweet from Anthony Housefather saying he was just shocked by how his party condoned paying money to anti-Semites. Former MPs, here's one named Michael Levitt, saying he's so disappointed in this party. Why only the Jews were speaking out and no one else? I thought it was very interesting that these very loyal Liberals just were shocked by Trudeau. I'm no longer shocked by him. So there's a lot of stories regarding the government, but when that happens, look for the government to try and switch the subject. If it's inflation or the cost of housing or taxes or carbon taxes or price of gas or a scandal, that's when the Liberals tell us to look at something else to take the air out of the balloon of the story they don't want to hear. They want to change the channel. And here's the channel they changed to. This is a video filmed by someone going out on a stunt on his own. Now, I'm not going to just show you the short cell phone video. I'm going to show you about a 2-minute clip from a TV station called CHCH. I want to show you their report. So in this report, you're going to see a lot of things. One of them is a guy recording himself heckling Chrystia Freeland. So this cell phone footage is not from Chrystia Freeland, not from a reporter. It's from the guy and his friend who said, we're going to find Chrystia Freeland and yell at her. And then the CHCH TV station treats it as a news story. Take a look.
The incident happened on Friday when Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland was visiting the City Hall in Grand Prairie, Alberta. A man called her name.
Chrystia, yes. What the f*** you doing in Alberta? You traitorous Get the f*** out of this province!
You don't belong here.
He unloaded a verbal assault of insults, F-bombs, and worse. Freeland and her aides got away. The man was escorted out of the City Hall, still shouting. On Twitter afterwards, Freeland said nobody anywhere should have to put up with threats and intimidation, although she said the harassment doesn't reflect the people of Alberta. In Ottawa, the Prime Minister was speaking out for her.
And threats, violence, intimidation of any kind are always unacceptable, and this kind of cowardly behavior threatens and undermines our democracy and our values of openness and respect upon which Canada was built.
Trudeau was the victim of a stone-throwing attack during last year's election campaign. He says these behaviors are getting worse, particularly against women and minorities, and Canada's leaders have to take a stand.
We have to ask ourselves what kind of country we are, what kind of country we want to be.
St. Catharines City Councillor Carrie Porter saw violence firsthand last winter when someone threw a rock through the window of her home.
Sometimes these things don't sink in till several days or several weeks later. That's when it sort of starts to sink in.
She says she's seen an increase in incivility, particularly against women, following Donald Trump's example in the U.S. and growing inequality.
But people manipulate and use people's legitimate anger with the system to their own end.
Political commentator Keith Leslie says the Alberta video shows no attempt to establish a dialogue by someone emboldened by online conspiracy theorists.
Saddest of all, I thought, was how proud this guy was of himself when he got out to the parking lot. We showed her, you just showed the world what a bully you are, and that you're just really, really angry. We're not even quite sure why, but you're calling the Deputy Prime Minister, a traitor in her own City Hall in Canada. What did she really do that makes her a traitor? Have you lost your freedoms? You seem to be free to be able to speak your mind to her.
There's a lot in there. What the F are you doing in Alberta, you traitor, get out? Those are some very mean words. The journalist says there are F-bombs in there and worse. don't know if there was much that was actually worse in there. I mean, the word traitor, I suppose, is mean. I think it is accurate to say there was some intimidation. If there's a really big guy who's hollering, that can be intimidating for sure. But he didn't get close to the deputy prime minister and go in the elevator with her. And in terms of threats, I don't doubt that it probably felt threatening. I mean, that's a subjective feeling. But he didn't say anything like, I'm going to get you, or I'm going to hit you, or I'm going to attack you. He just hollered, and then he was escorted out and he went. What's interesting is how that, at the very least it was rude and belligerent and noisy and startling. But you'll notice how Trudeau added the word violence in there. He said there was violence there. But actually there was no violence, was there? It was a threat to our democracy, he said. I'm not sure how it was. And our values of openness and respect. This is the same Justin Trudeau that has 4 censorship bills pending or proposed for the House of Commons, the same Trudeau that invoked martial law after the peaceful trucker protest, had a few too many bouncy castles and hot tubs. He's the one who seized bank accounts. The same Trudeau who asked, should we even tolerate people who are unvaccinated? Remember that clip that he said on French TV?
Oui, on va s'en sortir de cette pandémie par la vaccination. Puis on en connaît tous des gens qui sont en train d'hésiter un petit peu. On va continuer d'essayer de les convaincre. Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination.
Qui sont extrémistes.
Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère?
I think my favorite, or least favorite part of the CHCH clip was when they immediately pivoted and said that Trudeau, he's not the perpetrator of anger or division in our country. He's the victim of it. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.